Hi there, this is Maria here today. I hope everybody's doing well. And I'm going to tackle the making of my new trash journal. What I decided to do is use these gift tissue boxes. They have windows as the covers front to back for my journal. So I think what I'm going to do is cut this side here, make it narrower. And I will do the same with this back. Will be the back and cut it here. And I will join these together. So it will close like this, but it will be a lot shorter, of course. I hope I'm making sense and everybody can understand. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut all these edges off of the box. Okay, first problem I ran into it, or actually I made a problem for myself. I got carried away cutting the sides and I wasn't thinking, and I kept turning the paper to cut it on the guillotine knife. And as I kept doing that with the front side, I ended up cutting all of it off. So much for my spine that I was trying to save to glue to the other spine. So what I did, this is where it happened. What I did is the back one is becoming my front, which really doesn't matter, and I saved that spine that I cut off, and that's fine. But what I did with this is I ended up sewing a piece of cardboard from what I cut off back to the back cover. This will be the back cover now. So it's going to go like this. So I have my little flap that is going to glue to my front flap. Not too happy about this, but things can be fixed. It still looks like a book, like this. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing my spine. Okay, so learn from my mistake and don't do it because, if you do it, it can be fixable. What I realized is since I cut this piece that's narrow and sewed it to the back, I don't know why I did that. I should have cut it as wide as this one because that way it reinforces the spine. I wanted a spine to be reinforced to begin with by adding a strip of cardboard, but now it's only on half of it. And so if I want to reinforce it, the whole thing, if I want to reinforce the whole thing, I'm going to have to cut another piece that's just this width to reinforce it, which, whatever, it can be done. But it would have been better to have cut just the whole width of the spine to begin with and glue it and be done. Obviously, I'm not thinking, so don't learn from me. I don't bind books very often at all. So this is just a trial and error. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut another piece here, a narrower one. Okay, so that's done. It makes me feel much better. Now, when I sewed the piece, that extra piece that I cut off, and I sewed it to the back of the journal, it left an extra edge, or from the stitches, right? I'm left with this edge that sticks out, and it makes me want to cut it off. I don't know if you can see that, the extra right there. So I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so it's better. I still don't love it, but I gotta let go of it. What would be really cool is to later on put a piece of fabric here. I like to play with fabric, even in my trash journal like I did before. I did add fabric in some areas like here. Love to add fabric to the spine, glue it on, you sew the fabric up and down, do your stitches, and then glue it on. You can fill gaps between the pages, and it looks so pretty. It just looks so pretty. It adds to all the trash a different element. And so I can do the same out here or out here, which here what I had done is put washi tape here to decorate it, and stitched the Pellegrino on it, even though I didn't have this problem with that one. But it's doable, it's fixable. So anyway, this is the cover, and now I want to figure out what I'm going to do with my pages. I have some pages already kind of started. I try to make my pages out of trash. You can make them out of, I've seen it done with regular paper. Some people just put regular paper, white paper on it, or color paper, and that's what they use. I use trash for my pages, and they're not even pieces, obviously, because they don't come in this size. And I like my pages to be different sizes, like in my previous journal. You can see some are little, like this, and then you have longer ones that go to the top, you know. So, and all the little ones are so cute as well. So it depends on what you want. You can get some paper and make your signatures with regular paper and then add your trash to it, or make pages out of trash. So I have this box, special case, and I have this flap that, let me see what I was going to do with that. I don't remember. What happens is this becomes the front page, and I can attach more trash over here as I work on it. After I have sewn this to my journal, I can just attach something else here to make it the back page. So I'm going to do this as a page, the candy, even though it's all soft like this. I don't mind it for this type of journal. Let's see. So my camera stopped recording, but basically I got to the first signature, and again the same, I repeat with the second and third signatures, 10 pages each. Hopefully my needle can withstand sewing through all this cardboard. I don't know. So let's get started. I'm going to try to sew my first signature. Hopefully, oh my goodness, I'm sorry I have the camera too close. Hopefully it works well. And what I'm going to do is see where I want them. Here doesn't matter as much, because since I'm going to be layering so much with all kinds of trash, it doesn't have to be laid perfectly, unlike other journals that are neater. What I've done right now is, before attaching my signatures, I have 1, 2, and 3. Before attaching them to my spine, I clipped them together and ran them under the sewing machine just a few stitches, just to hold them in place, because it will be a pain to try to hold all these under the sewing machine attached to this. I did that with every one of them, and that helps tremendously, because these papers are so uneven in so many different textures that they just slide all over the place. It's better to stitch them quickly before binding them, for me anyway. Something to keep in mind is this page was dog food, so the back of this has like this foil aluminum feel to it. And sometimes if you want to stick stuff with glue to these, some glues will do fine, I believe. I think I did that before, but sometimes they don't. Depends what you use. If you want to stick something to it, it won't stick because it's so slick. So what I did was sewed some junk papers to it, and I just kind of attached a few stitches here and there. Unfortunately, I did too many over here and it went through my doggy that I love so much, but that's fine. It's a trash journal, get over it. So I sewed him here, and so that, keep that in mind. Now to the binding through the spine and see how that works out. Okay, now I do not bind books very often at all. So every time I bind a book, I remember things I had forgotten, I run into problems, and sure enough, what I realize right now is that there's no way I can take this book through the sewing machine like this because it is too wide. It's just not going to let me. What I'm going to do is sew them all the way down so they're very secure. And then I'm going to do a 3-hole stitch through the cover. I'll be right back. Take, don't break my book. No, no, no. Say hello. Oh. So I have sewn all my signatures all the way through. So they're nice and secure. I was still trying to attempt to run it through the sewing machine. See if it would let me. And it might do it. It's just I don't want to fold this too much and have it crease the plastic and ruin it. Plus, because I made a mistake earlier and I had to sew this piece to this piece, what happened is when I tried to fold it under the machine, it started ripping on the stitches right there. I don't know if you can see that. So I will just reinforce that later on with tape and then fabric, glue, whatever we put over it, it'll be fine. So please don't learn from me how to create books, how to bind books, make books, or maybe learn from my mistakes. So what I'm going to do now is kind of determine a little bit where the middle is here to do a 3-hole binding. And I'm not good at this either. And this is just a trash journal, so I don't have to be super exact. Let's see what I can do. So with an awl, I'm going to put a hole in the middle of my signatures. I'm going to run it through the back of the spine. And I'm going to make 3 holes. And I'm just eyeballing, they're not perfect. As long as they're secure, that's all I care about. And I'm going to use wax thread with a needle for book binding. You can buy these in a kit online. I need to use about 3 times the length of this in thread because this is where my holes are. So I'm not going to use the length of this. I'm going to use the length of the smaller piece. That's all I need. And so 3, about 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go from the inside towards the outside of the book. Like this. And then I'll go back in through the next hole. Now through the next hole from inside out again. And not the middle hole, the other hole that we haven't used yet. After this, I'm going to pull it after this hole and I'm going to bring it through the middle hole again. When I bring it through the middle hole, I have to be careful that I don't catch the thread that's already. So it looks like I lost some footage just a little bit. But what happened is the last thing I was saying was I needed to bring my thread from this hole to the middle. And as I put the needle through the middle hole, since I already have this thread over here, I have to make sure that the needle doesn't catch this thread. That will cause problems when tying the threads inside. So it is kind of tricky, especially with this bulky, big, awkward book. So I did manage to get it through here. So it goes through the middle of the signatures, the middle hole, and this is where I landed. And what I want to do now is just make sure it is nice and tight. Remove the needle. And I'm going to tie these two together. But first I'm going to run one of them underneath the thread that we have created there. Let me see. So this is how they ended up. What I want to do is put one of these threads underneath the main thread here, like this. So then I will tie my threads together and it will hug that middle thread. I'm sure probably most of you are seasoned bookbinders unlike me, and so you're probably, if anything, laughing at what I'm doing here. I'm not very good at this, but for the ones who don't know, that's basically what it is. And it just takes practice. Some people can do it easier than others. I'm going to just tighten this, and now I'm going to tie it. And you can do as many knots as you like. This is cool. The bad thing about this journal is going to be, and I can already tell, the cover is pretty flimsy. I'm not going to like that. My other journal is thicker. It's thick. And I believe it's like two pieces of cardboard. One was an old calendar, and then the other one is just some just white cardboard. And I sewed them together, and that makes it more sturdy. So this one is going to be a little flimsy, but that's okay. I like the idea of the windows. So just kind of a delicate trash journal. I don't know. Things I learn as I create. So, and I'm upside down here. There. It doesn't matter if I would have attached these upside down because it's a trash journal. Now I'm going to go ahead and repeat with the other signatures. Finally done with the book. I am pretty happy. It turned out pretty cool. It's going to be fun to get in here and decorate it. Please make sure you watch some good bookbinding videos if you don't know how to bookbind. Don't follow my steps. There's much better stuff out there. I'm excited. I can't wait to start decorating it. I did reinforce that part that was ripping here with masking tape, and that later on will be covered up as well because I like to beautify the trash. So, and it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And this is just a reminder of how God works in all of us, how He takes us from our current state and starts transforming us to become more and more like Him. And I remember the verse in Revelations 21:5 where He says, "Behold, I make all things new." And yeah, we are taking this old trash and we're going to make something new and beautiful out of it, just like God works in us. So I will be focusing on that and meditating on that and looking up verses about transforming power of God in His children. And so join me next time. I think we're going to have a lot of fun decorating this, making it all nice and pretty. And I hope you enjoyed this project so far, and come back and see me next time. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe, and you'll be blessed. Take care. Bye bye.